Blasphemous Podcast. My name is Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Klukowski and Liam McKelvey. Hello, what's up?
Yo. What's up? Elden Ring's out. Finally, after a long time of waiting. So, sorry to everybody who's not that into Elden Ring or got a bit of Elden Ring fatigue, but it's not much else to chew on this week, is there?
Well, no, it's. I mean, there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games out, and there's a lot of. It's a pretty busy time. There's stuff coming out this week, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that have come up that I thought, oh, should I get that? And then I haven't. But I did. I have bought Elden Ring because we've had some big, we've had Dying Light and we've had Horizon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Warhammer.
Warhammer. So the games that have been, you've heard about for a long time. They've been sort of had long announcement periods, especially Dying Light 2. When was that announced? Like 3 years ago or something? I don't know.
Yeah, way longer than that. Yeah, 2017, I think.
Yeah. So so there's a lot of stuff, and probably none more so anticipated than Elden Ring. Although I never get how the hell are you supposed to measure that? How do you have a most anticipated game? How you fucking what's the metric on that? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
it's a gut, it's a feeling.
Sadly, there's lots of people in the west coast of America that will tell you exactly how you can sort of correlate that data. Social listening tools and all that, but it's all a load of rubbish, isn't it? The loudest fans or the ones who make the most memes on Reddit or whatever doesn't necessarily equate to the most anticipated. But there's something about this one where it was it was in the air for a while, when a storm's on the way. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there was people who know the the stock, and they know what it's like, and they know what to expect. And then I think there was this almost this, whole set of people who were like, I actually don't like FromSoft games. I don't like them, but this one, we'll see, won't we? And it's weird that I guess anecdotally for me, I know quite a few people who really aren't into the Dark Souls games and stuff. They checked out Demon Souls maybe, but they're really into Elden Ring. And I'm a bit confused by that, to be completely honest with you, because it is just big Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to the point where if they called it big Dark Souls, I would respect that. You know what I mean? I would be like, that's a fucking big move. You called it big Dark Souls, and I love that and I respect it. And can you imagine the trailer if it was just big Dark Souls?
Big Dark Souls, yeah. Exactly.
That's the world that I want to live in. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Alas, it didn't happen, but there you go.
Yeah. So, all right then. So I guess for anybody who's playing through, we are going to be fairly delicate with you guys in the sense that Mike and Liam didn't play the network test. So a lot of their experiences are going to be in the first area, and I am some ways in, but I'm going to be really mindful to not talk about that. The only thing I'll mention in terms of later game stuff is, I don't know, the scalability of my character or anything like that. So that's the housekeeping out the way for the people who may be putting this on in the background whilst they're doing a bit of exploring in Elden Ring. I listened to a bit of a podcast when I revisited the first area to try and mop stuff up yesterday. So if you're one of them, we're not going to be talking about the fourth main boss in or whatever. So Elden Ring. What class did you guys go?
I started as a warrior because, me, got to play the dex characters all the time.
Okay.
And so warrior has the highest dex, and scimitar, I can never pronounce it properly. As your starting weapon. Anything that's a curved sword, basically. And then I've sort of built myself as a bit of a glass cannon where I've scaled my dexterity really high, so my weapon damage is really high. I've got loads of stamina, so I can just roll and dodge all the time, but I don't have much health, so I can get hit and taken out quite easily, especially by bigger enemies, and that's sort of how I've been playing it at the minute. Although I'm starting to change it up now, because I found a weapon that I really want to use, but it requires a bit more strength, so I'm putting all my level up points into strength now. So then I want to use this big two-handed curved greatsword that I found. So I'm sort of weirdly making myself into a dexterity-based hulking sort of just monster of a person.
Okay. And so, but very melee focused still,
yeah,
right?
I've got no ranged capability whatsoever at the minute.
Yeah. What did you go for, Mike?
Oh, I just went for the first one. What was it? The Knight?
Is it Vagabond?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Not a spell between us. Anyone listening who's interested, there's this huge roster of spells in this game, right? When I'm playing through, I'm almost tempted to like respec, and because I'm like going, well, I recently did the Souls games again, and I went Pyromancer and Sorcerer. Demon Souls I did Sorcerer, and in Dark Souls 1 I went Pyromancer, and it is fun, but there's only like 8 spells that are like viable. There's like 40 spells, but there's only 8 that are like really decent. But with this, the spells are all like just cool. Like you just go, oh right, I want to shoot a meteor out of the sky or whatever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's like really cool things, and then you the thing about Elden Ring that's different than some of the others is it's like kind of like all about, absorption of knowledge and abilities. So when you see an enemy who's doing a cool move, the chances are if you defeat that enemy, you'll get the cool move yourself, which is great. Apart from if you're just a knuckle dragging, spear, club, sword user, like turns out all of us are.
Yeah,
so,
but it's sort of satisfying, though, isn't it? Like, there's like a, that's the whole part of the thing. Is the figuring out the move sets and shit like that. Whereas if you're doing magic, you just stand as far back as you can and do the magic in it.
Yeah, so exactly. Wiggle a wand about, and then away you go.
It's a coward's way forward. But so I I've bought one spell. I bought like a healing. There's like obviously in these games there's like basically different types of magic in there. There's like faith magic, and then there's like magic.
Yeah.
And then I got like a little healing spell just for just a little dabble. I might get myself a fireball.
A little pick me up.
Yeah, just to keep the buzz. But it's I found what's sort of hit me gameplay wise is the amount of stealth that I've been using. It's sort of which it's never a thing really for me in Dark Souls and Bloodborne and shit. It's like if you backstab someone, you just do it by like running around them when you're fighting. Or the odd occasion where you just get behind somebody. But I found like there's like camps and stuff of enemies and things like that you just like feel like maybe I should sneak through this because I could probably take a lot of these out without actually getting in a fight. Which is that's pretty. I haven't played it enough to figure out what like in Sekiro you just you go so that's the thing in this one, so you get that the deflection is a big thing, parrying is a big thing in Sekiro, and in Bloodborne it's like the dodge roll obviously and rolling into the armpit of all the bosses, right, to like get behind and get underneath them and stuff. But I still haven't played enough of it to like figure out what the fucking thing is. Maybe it is the magic, like I don't know.
For me, it sounds so, I don't know, like not true, but I think it is a bit of everything. This really does feel like all of them at once. There's a bit of everything in there, and it's really difficult to explain unless you've played them all and you play it. But you do get like moments that you go, there's Dark Souls there. You get moments when you go, there's Bloodborne there. I became temporarily overpowered in the game because like I was like in the first wave of people to play it. So I had like, first refusal on all messages there. I could go in there and write a little message down like, there's a character that you meet who just looks at you and doesn't speak. He's just doing this. Yeah. So I made a message, and for anyone who's not really familiar, you can use this like messaging system where there's certain templates, but you can insert like words and stuff. So there's this character who just stands there like that and he just nods at you. So I'd written a note saying, "Behold, Edge, Lord ahead." Yeah, because this guy is just a very miserable looking, edgy boy. And it had like 2,000 appraisals. Every time your message gets appraised, you get full health. So there's been times where I've been losing to a boss and then I get full health again because of this Edgelord's comment. And it's I don't want to say it's broken the game for me, but God, it's good to be popular.
So that's the like note system, which is like in all the games in it, really. And then, I think it is dead similar to Dark Souls, and so far in particular Dark Souls 2. Don't ask me why, but I just think, wow, you know what? This just, I guess, just the like vibe of it. I mean, because like I said, I haven't played enough of it to know, but just the sort of dreaminess of it so far. You're like, oh look, it's a giant gold tree. That's a bit Dark Souls 2. I don't know what it is about that.
You know what? You're not wrong. Yeah.
It's just the atmospherically and visually a little bit. And also the other thing I noticed is that I recently finished Demon Souls on PS5, which looks fucking way better than this. I don't know how else to put it, but Demon Souls is a way better looking game, the remake than this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably had an opportunity to flex its muscles because it's a PS5 exclusive, and the game is just a series of funnels and tunnels. You got these like essentially really good skyboxes, but the majority of the game is just taking place in little alleyways, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a game in it.
Yeah. This one's open world is really something, I think. But how do you guys feel about the game being actually open compared to like? Is it like? Do you go, oh, never done this before? Or do you just go, okay then?
I mean, it does feel pretty familiar to other open world games. I'm going to be that guy and say it. It's quite a lot like Breath of the Wild open world. Like someone had to say it, so I thought it might as well be me. But I really do. It does feel it. But I like. It's more just how it affords you different opportunities to get around situations. So you're not like stuck having to go through. Like in Dark Souls, there'll be you can't get through this area because there's a really powerful enemy in the way. And then if you can't beat them, or you can't like somehow cheese them to glitch into a wall, you can't get past them. Whereas like if you see a dragon in a big field in Elden Ring, but it's blocking your way, you just be like, I'll just take a little diversion around this mountain on my horse, and you can just get past it. So I like that. It is very Dark Souls, but the open world gives you a lot more ways to tackle certain situations. So you can like find a secret alleyway that takes you into the castle, or if you want to be a big hard man, you can just go straight through the front gate and batter everyone. But if you don't want to, there's different routes and through areas, which I quite like. Other than that, I don't really think the open world is that special. Like, it's good, and I like exploring it, but it's not really that different to any other open world, to be honest.
Yeah, it's difficult because it's as soon as you be an open world, it's sort of unavoidable that you have to have certain things, and it does. It finds a good way, like a Dark Soulsy way of doing open world stuff, and it definitely takes like Breath of the Wild cues, and I don't know what it is. It just fucking feels like it a little bit. But I mean, one thing that I think from what I've played so far that sort of sets it apart from the popular AAA open world is that I do think that there's already been a couple of occasions where I've gone, what's that over there? Gone up to see it, read an inscription, and it's been like a weird fucking statue or something. And I don't know, and I haven't got anything out of that. I haven't got XP. I haven't got, I haven't leveled up. I haven't got a new fucking pair of boots. I've just gone, wow, that's a cool statue, and that's a great little sentence that I've just read. And that was enough for me. Do you know what I mean? And then I've like gone about my business. Where there's more like creative little like details and like art in the world, which you just don't get in that like sort of cookie cutter. Here's another outpost. Here's another outpost. Here's another job to do. It's not like that. It definitely doesn't have that feeling to it so far. Anyway, which is more sort of Breath of the Wild like.
There is definitely some areas that are like give you a little reward for exploring them. Like, there was a big chapel-looking place I saw in the distance from a mountain, and I was like, I'm going to go check that out. And I found, like, a really good item there that gave me, like, another health potion recharge. But then, like you're saying, you can also, like, go to a big abandoned ruin, think, oh, there's going to be some cool loot here, and then there's nothing. Just a couple enemies, maybe a bit of lore.
Yeah, but this is the thing about it that I'm finding so incredible, is that I'm constantly incentivized to check it out. Like, even if it is a bit of lore, I'm lapping that up, man, because there's a lot of confusion in this bloody world. Like, so but the big thing for me that's so confusing is that the characters are all dead similarly named. There's like Godric and Godwyn and Renala and Rani and Radan and...
They're running out of Welsh, I'll tell you that much.
Well, they're not running out. Oh, yeah, honestly, as the game progresses, I swear we're at about 40% Welsh, 30% Yorkshire, and then 30% everything else. There's so many Welsh accents in this game. Like, there's a character who's literally just called Blythe, who, by the way, down my local pub, there's a guy that helps out on the boats because I live by harbour, whose name's Blythe. I can't wait to say, oh, there's a game and they've kicked the name's character after you because he's just going to do this. Oh, yeah. One of them video games, is it? You know what I mean? But to me, I was like, oh, that's weird. But yeah, there's lots of really cool characters and stuff. But this is the thing with it, man. Like the going around and just discovering things and it still has this From Software like logic to the point where, like, you know, I saw like this is like, you know, the only thing I'll mention it's specific in the whole thing, I reckon. Right near the beginning of the game, I saw these like goblin kind of people, these creatures, and they were overground. And normally they live in caves. So I was like, why are they overground? Like, what are they doing? Are they going out hunting or whatever? So I was following them. They were on patrol, and I followed them for about 5 minutes, and then they started having a fight with some soldiers. So I'm like, why are they fighting? So you think in your head, why would they have a fight with these soldiers? The soldiers are all, you know, covered in armaments and like weapon arts, and these are just like these cloth, you know, draped, club wielding little goblins. Why are they going out against these knights and that? And I'm like, okay. So then I'm looking at the knights, following this trail of bodies, and you end up in this like castle or whatever, and there's all these goblins outside the castle, and then you go in and then you find out why. But there's a whole story there. There's no words, nothing. You could easily have just completely missed why. But when you like look at it and you just go, oh. Honestly, like the lore boys, like Varty Video and that, are going to absolutely be eating for years off this. There's so much to it. I'm like excited every time I see an NPC. They give me one throwaway line that hints towards something, and I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. I found one NPC, which is, I reckon, 100% missable. Like, not 100% obviously, but well, you can miss them, so I guess that is 100% missable. But like someone completely random NPC in this random abandoned church that basically has told me the whole plot of the game, like, well, you know, so far, like what's happened in this and that. And I'm just like, you know, to me, it's so Dark Souls. There's nothing changed about it, but I think just having that, you know, like Liam said, that ability to like go around the problem and come back later is probably why so many people are loving it. Because that's the thing about it for me, that I'm just a little bit like, where were you? No, it's just like when it's the Dark Souls, like people who are like not into that and then they're loving this. I'm thinking it's not doing anything different, in my opinion. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
But
except you can jump.
Except you can jump and ride. And by the way, you know, one thing that we're all melee boys, so like, you know, one of my favorite things about it is riding around on my horse. And I'm full strength, by the way. This is the first time I've ever really started more in endurance than anything else, because endurance is your stamina bar stat, but also connected to the amount of equipment you can have. So my character's at a point now where I've got a full suit of armor, a war hammer, and a shield, but I can still roll normally because I've started endurance up so much, and I've got loads of stamina. So I've got this hammer and I'm swinging it around like mad. It almost makes me like, it feels like a dex build, if you know what I mean. Like I'm not having to like hit 3 times and then wait 5 minutes. So riding on my horse though, because you get a horse in this game, a spectral steed, which is good. You go around and I'm just clubbing people. And I had so many bosses that I've just jousted to death. Literally run in, do a swing, run away, turn around again, charge. And it's like, it's really, really, really interesting because it adds a whole layer of complexity, or takes a layer of complexity away when you just jousting them to the bosses. So there's certain bosses that have got, you know, big reach. So I can't joust them because when I'm past them, they'll still catch me. So then I have to jump off my horse and then I'm staying close to them, like, you know, staying in their armpit, like you said. But just having the horse there, not just for the traversal, but for combat, I think is wicked. I didn't think they would get it right, but they really have, I think. I really like the combat on the horse. So
it definitely, it's cool. But like you said, it does feel like Dark Souls. It has all the like story, like trappings and stuff. The setup is like, is there a breathy doll-like woman who helps you level up? You fucking bet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Does she have a fucked up eye? Of course.
Of course. Like, do you get killed? Do you get whomped by a boss at the beginning, so that you can then die, so that you can understand that you're supposed to die in this game? To that's a big part of it. Of course there is.
Yeah.
Like, is there fireplaces type shit, whatever they're called?
Bonfires.
Yeah, but what are they called in this though?
Graces.
Yeah.
Points of grace. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of them, but they're there.
Yeah.
It has a lot of the fucking. But there's cool details like that. I like that the HUD disappears. Do you know what I mean? I really like that. I'm so glad that they've done that, because Dark Souls, 3 and Demon Souls, and the games look amazing. But then you've just constantly got these 4 rectangles in the bottom left corner. Corner.
Yeah.
So just fuck off when you don't need it, innit? And I guess in Elden Ring, because there's a lot more downtime. It's just like jogging from one place to the other, or getting on a horse from one place to the other, that you can afford to have that little break. Yeah. But it definitely is full of Breath of the Wild surprises, where the first time you play Breath of the Wild, and it's like, oh, that's cool, that's new, that's interesting. Little details like the maybe it's a bit of a spoiler, but not really. It's like the little telescope thing, you know what I'm talking about, where you that's cool, that's weird and cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are they the first time it's like, why can I do this? Like, why are they giving me this option to do this telescope thing? But it's good. Like, it's a good kind of intrigue.
Yeah.
That the game seems to have quite a bit of, at least in the beginning.
I think the thing to me that's I guess it's pretty surprising is how much it's managed to just be Dark Souls, and how well it's reviewed. Like, the reviews are like, this is like an all-timer, isn't it? Like, it's basically the bar, but it's become the bar suddenly. And I think that in 2 weeks' time, the conversation will remain. And I think it's weird though, because it's like, I don't want to talk ill of the dead, but John Marston and his boys, right? No, but with Red Dead Redemption, I found that was like a really weird split, where that was, a lot of people really liked it. It was so immersive, carving bullets, yada yada. But it was I remember all of the things that we brought up. The second one in particular, yeah. Lots of critics loved it. It was very, very well received. I think like a 94 on Metacritic in the end. But I remember, I didn't finish it because it was literally just cinematic after cinematic. Even the gameplay was cinematic. Like, I was on a horse listening to someone talk for ages, whereas this is like the complete opposite. So that's sort of completely squashed that issue, which was the thing. And I found that like Red Dead Redemption, the reputation it's got with the gamers with a capital G is kind of soured over time, in a sense that it's not like The Witcher, where it's still held up there. But I really do see this being the one. Like, it's got the average YouTube commenter, shouts out to you guys, who loved The Witcher, will be enthralled. And then the critics are really liking it because they get to keep a journal and write physical notes about dungeons that they've missed, and they love that. They love that shit. Somebody I know, Lucy James, she was showing me her little notepad thing for it. And then Jason Schreier's got a notepad, and I'm like, oh, you all part of some little fucking journalist little notepad club.
Jason
and they love that.
Jason Schreier tweeted something that made me want to fucking throw up, and I don't know why I had such but he said the combat, remember the combat in Elden Ring is like a rhythm game. And that's all. There was more to the tweet. That's all I read. Yeah. And I don't know what it is about that expression. Yeah, I just really find that really off-putting. And
that's the thing that everybody was saying about Sekiro, because that is like Guitar Hero. When you see the sword come in, press L1, you deflect everything. Sekiro is deflect. It's only deflect, and then you're never using a charge attack on Sekiro. If you want to be good at the game, you're just using your slash it shit. I'm telling you now. So you're just doing L1 and R1 in sequence. That is a bit more understandable, like a rhythm game. Elden Ring.
I know that's
what are you on about, dickhead? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like there's something about the oversimplification and the trust me, I've played it, I know, but still been, in my opinion, wrong about it, and also. Just I don't know. It's just everything about that.
I know what you mean. There was a bit of smugness there. I got it early as well, but I was like, it's the hardest thing in my life to not mention it. to you two, specifically to you two. Guys, trust me. There's, I can't stress enough how this has been like everything I wanted it to be. As you get more and more into it, it's like, this is the thing that I am really happy with, right? What's it with Breath of the Wild? Like, they call it the Grand Plateau. You got that starting area. It's good and that, isn't it? But then as the game unfolds, you're getting into better areas. But I think like what you get with like a lot of the other open world games is they're like front loaded with really cool stuff, and then the game gets sparse as it goes on, or less interesting, or samey.
Because it's a repetition of what you've had in the first 3 or 4 hours, isn't it?
Exactly, it is the bandit camps and things like that. But like, one thing that we all know, anyone who plays it from game knows, they get better as the game goes on, right? You Dark Souls 1, you got your little undead Berg and all that, and then you don't remember Undead Berg by the end because you remember everything else. Bloodborne, Central Yharnam's sick. It is sick, but you remember everything else too.
What's genius about Bloodborne is though that the environment, which obviously is a I don't know what I can say about Elden Ring, but I just won't say anything. But in Bloodborne, I really like the it's like essential the way that the moon changes, isn't it? And the environment, the lighting of the environment changes. So when you go back to Yharnam, the fucking moon is different, and the light
cycles of the moon in it.
It's amazing, and the enemies will behave differently and stuff, which is like a huge part of what makes it so fucking genius. But that again is tied to how far in the game you go. So the further in you get, the weirder and more like the creepy and distorted things become, which is genius.
Well, that's it. And Dark Souls 3, I think, just ramps up in scope. I don't think it's doing much like clever stuff like that. It's just literally like you are in a small castle, then you're in a very big castle, then you're in a very beautiful castle, and then hey, remember Dark Souls 1? Basically, that's the cadence, isn't it, of Dark Souls 3? Yeah, but with Sekiro, it's like humble shinobi to mad end. Yeah, but Elden Ring has this in spades as well. That's all I'm saying. Like, you get in those moments, like every act, you're like going, this changes everything. I've said that about 3 times so far, where I'm like, this is stupid. I've had like 3 moments like that. Because to me, though, the one moment that I had that was where it's like, this game's landed, like this game's done it. It's a very, very small thing, very, very close to the beginning of the game. You start off and you get this open vista called Limgrave, and then, you look around, and I think immediately behind you, if you go out of the church and turn around, you can see a big ruin on an island. And I went, that looks cool. I wonder how I get over there. Anyway, minding my own business, killing a couple of crabs by the shore, and I find this little tiny little hole in the cliff. I go in there, it leads to this dungeon. Brilliant. I'm enjoying my time. I'm really short-sighted. I'm just focused on killing the goblins in front of me. I kill the boss. Great. And then it's like, cool. Do you want to return back to the surface? But then I saw a little hole in the wall again. So I'm like, no, I don't. I'll carry on. Carry on. And I surface. And where am I? I'm by that thing that I saw earlier and was like, and that was when I was like, this is it. The world, it has that interconnectivity, but it wasn't like going like a big neon arrow. Hey, you want to get here? Do this. And that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous is because I've had it early and I'm ahead. So not even the walkthroughs have caught up. I can't even Extra Life it. So like last night before bed, I looked at like how many bosses there were in the first area, and I'd only killed about like 2/3 of them. So I was like, what the hell? Then I found out that some of the bosses only appear at night in the open fields and stuff. So there's going to be loads to explore. Like I feel like I felt like I'd mopped that area up, but apparently like there was still a good 1/3 of content left in it and things, and there's certain bits that you revisit later. So like, it's ace that I'm still pottering around in that first area that you guys are at later on. So do you guys have you guys had any like interest in like how are you finding like this George R. Martin lore? What is that doing anything for you? Or is it just?
I don't know what he's done there. So
I wouldn't if his name wasn't plastered all over the trailers in the box. I wouldn't know he was involved in the game at all, to be honest.
Yeah. But maybe the only thing for me that's very him is like everyone's somebody's father or sister or uncle or lover or sometimes both, and then it's like you know, you've got like Tywin and Tyrion. You know, you've got Rhaenyra and Rani and Radan and blah, blah, and it's like there's Queen Marika, and then I think your little like bonfire wife maiden is like flipping Melina, but she knows Marika, and it's like it's like when you're trying to figure out all the Lannisters again. That's the only thing I've seen. It was like, you know, that is, and I guess there's that sort of like everyone's fighting for power, political intrigue thing. But I think his contribution to the game was he didn't write the story whatsoever. He just wrote the lore, like the world building. Like he made the map of Middle Earth, and someone else wrote the Lord of the Rings type vibe. Yeah. So, like, you know, the story does. I think the story goes at a nice pace where like you're not getting like confused all the way through to the end. Like, you know, the story gives you enough to really go into and that. But yeah, so overall, you're liking it, yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit.
It still hasn't, yeah, because I haven't played it enough to, like I said, I still haven't been like, oh fuck, I need to play this every waking moment, sort of thing. But I'm sure, you know, I've had that with every other one, so I'm sure that'll come eventually. But yeah, it's a good first impression, and it's the thing is as well though, it's always difficult as soon as, you know, you're getting 98 on Metacritic or whatever. You just instantly are like, oh wow, I can't wait to play the best game of all time. So then you like boot it up and you're like, come on then, it could be the best game of all time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's like it's, you know, that is definitely a factor for that's going to be interesting to see how that, you know, affects people's like reading of it and stuff.
Especially as people who don't know FromSoft.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, I was very tepid on it. Like, because I remember though that like the network test, by the way, just so you guys know, was the area that you're in at the beginning, Limgrave, all the way up until the first boss, and then just a bit after. So, you know, as soon as you step out of the first chapel, it's like, oh, go to that castle, Stormvale Castle. So you got there in the network test. You had that whole area. You had the Sentinel. You were a bit overpowered in the network test, right? So I was finally in Elden Ring, but I couldn't talk about it with everybody else, which was a bit of a dampener. The servers weren't online yet, so there was no messages and that. So that was a bit of a dampener. And I'd done most of this already, so there was that. So then when I beat that boss, I was like, right, let's go. And it took me a while to be like, okay, but now I'm fully in the camp of like, if this all it needs to do is stick the landing and end good, and we're talking all timer, yeah, for definite, yeah. It's mad. It's difficult to not talk about it as much as I want to with you guys, but yeah, I'm happy for you both. You've got it all ahead of you.
Yeah, maybe like, you know, we can do like a spoiler cast once we've all finished it or whatever, and you know what I mean, and just do like a full, because then the thing is as well, a lot more people will have played and finished it as well, won't they? So, and maybe that might be a cool one to
just kind of, it's like I'm on the equivalent of like, imagine being an orphan of Cos or something, and then hearing people going, oh, you know, I've just beat this like what's his name? Is it Father Gaswell or something? He's something like, you know, that's pretty intriguing, and you just go, yeah. Right, let's see what happens in it. Yeah, but I don't know if it'll be as weird as Dark Souls, and you're just like going, So yeah, Elden Ring, man. Fucking hell.
Without spoiling anything, I'm at the Academy. That's as vague as I'll keep it. That's where I am.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So that's Elden Ring then, to be mindful of everybody's life, time, and spoilers. But if you are playing Elden Ring, can you just let us know in the comments, because I have a little read through of them. And I'm really interested to hear if there's anyone who actually does use magic. Maybe I've just told myself, everyone will be using magic here. It's the one. Astrologer seems to be like the class to be, because you're a bit of a spell sword. So you still got that melee. You know, one thing I wish I did more on this game, by the way, just a dead quick one. I'm double strength. I've got loads of endurance, so I can dual wield warhammers and still be able to roll around. But there's not really any like synergy. So you know, like when you're playing it, yeah, you've got your left. I'm playing on PlayStation 5. You've got your left trigger or your left bumper, and that's your shield, and then your right bumper is your weapon. Well, having two weapons is just that. So if I've got two hammers, it's like I'll hit with that hammer, then I'll hit with that hammer. I wish I could like, you know, do some sort of like rabbit punch, but with a hammer. Do you know what I mean? So I wish there was a bit more synergy. Maybe that's good for if you've got a long range weapon and a short range weapon or something. But I'm just not really finding much of a use of the power stance sort of thing yet. So.
Yeah. It's cool. It's like that's the thing with it. With all the FromSoft games, there's always like subtle differences in how they like handle, and there might be one button that's there in Demon Souls and Dark Souls, but it's not in this. Do you know what I mean? And there's a few things I found like, I want to do that, but then it's just not a thing in this game. Or if it is a thing, I haven't found it yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. It took me ages to figure out how to two-hand my weapon because I don't think it makes it explicit. Oh, right. So like you have to hold triangle and then press R1.
Mm-hmm. So, fuck! Right, I never.
This is what I mean. Like, it's really, really like weird because it doesn't make it explicitly clear at any point how to do it. So, yeah, weird. But
it does tell you how. There's a message, but it's like well after the tutorial area. It tells you how to two-hand the weapon.
Yeah, because I've started as this knight guy, and then I didn't want to use my shield. I just wanted to run around with a sword and just like use the sword and. But so I could obviously, but it was like one-handed, and then my left hand was just like not doing.
What's the point? Yeah, exactly.
So I was like trying to bring the weight down. Do you know what I mean? So I could roll around and stuff, and see what it's like without a shield because I don't really like playing with shields. But
that's where I'm at the moment. I was because there's this really cool feature in it where you can block now. If when you block somebody and then you just do a heavy attack. That acts really well. Like that's like the best.
Oh yeah.
It's like basically it's like its whole new thing. It's not quite as strong as a parry or a backstab, but it's really good to do.
Yeah.
So I was using that, but now I've just transcended the shield and I'm just two-handing the hammer and just praying for the best, rolling around here. I've got like the stamina bar of the gods, so I'm just rolling around in this hunk of armor, swatting people with this hammer. But it's ace, and I just. Really excited to. I'm watching the conversations on Twitter, and I'm watching. It's funny because I'm like a couple of days ahead. Like, so I'm at like most people now who've been playing it since launch are in the academy, like where Liam's on about. But you know, when you're so I'm watching people slowly talking about these next big things, and it's like really interesting to see. So yeah, man, I'm fucking loving it. Can't stress enough how good it is. Like, but. Would I recommend it to somebody who doesn't like Dark Souls? I would have said no, but the fact that everyone who doesn't like Dark Souls is still saying it's amazing is making me second guess myself. Well, I don't think it's doing much.
I'd say that it's probably a little bit easier in some. It's a bit more forgiving in the beginning, and that's there's a couple of reasons, like Liam was saying, you can avoid problems, which you can't do in Dark Souls, and
plenty of checkpoints.
Yeah, and at least the class I'm playing with, I found that like straight away without leveling up, I could kill like enemies in about like 2 hits and stuff, and it was it's pretty. Do you know what I mean? It's quite a soft thing. Obviously, there's like difficulty spikes, like I've seen already.
Yeah.
And there's already been like at least 2 things I've just thought, nope, not just yet, and I've just like left it because it's too hard.
Yeah.
But it is like you can spend more time in it and not dying. Which isn't. If you're stuck in Dark Souls, you are pretty fucking stuck until you can,
You have to hit your head against that wall till it smashes through. Like, you're quite right. The game that reminded me of this is the weirdest. Is Divinity Original Sin 1. You start off in this town in there, and then you can go north, south, east, or west, and like you can only really go one way because everyone else is way over leveled. But it reminds me of like a CRPG trying to figure. All right, I'm getting battered here. So it's
because in Divinity you've got you're totally right, and you have to pick like the correct sort of path forward almost, but it's up to you to like figure out like which one you want to go down, and it's totally. I see that totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Elden Ring. That's a big old chat on Elden Ring. Have you guys played anything else?
Bit of Horizon Forbidden West, but that's on the back burner for now. Still played a good chunk of it though. Played like 8 hours or so.
What do you reckon?
It's good. It is good. It is basically the first Horizon again, but a bit more refined. It's very like it's like an iteration on the first game more than like a massive leap forward. Just little things about it, like traversal's better, combat's a bit smoother. you've got more options in combats. Like, if you want to go more as a melee character, you can. If you're not really into shooting bows and stuff, whereas, you know, the first Horizon was more all about, like, being ranged and setting traps and stuff. But yeah, it's good. It is pretty much just the first one, but improved in little areas. And to be fair, the little improvements do add up to make a better game overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a massive, daunting game that I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of it, to be honest. But I'm enjoying it.
I started playing Frozen Wilds. Actually, no, I finished it. I finished the Frozen Wilds DLC for the first one, which I'd never done. I only did that 2 or 3 weeks ago. In like the build up for Horizon to try and get me like in the mood for it, and it actually had the opposite effect of making me feel, well, that's a lot of Horizon that I've just done there.
Yeah, your appetite wasn't as big than you thought. It's
so I left it.
Yeah.
How does it look? How does it look, Liam? Because I'm assuming that it's meant to be like one of these like.
Oh yeah, it looks fantastic in the visual mode. I'm not playing it in the visual mode though, because 60 FPS or nothing for me.
That's not what you're about, is it?
It's not. Don't care. Give me 60 FPS all the time. Where it still looks good. There's like some details cranked down, like there's not like the vegetation and the grass isn't as detailed, and it looks a bit softer because it's not running at like 4K or whatever. But it's well worth it for having because it's such a combat heavy game and there's so much action that 60 FPS just feels so much better for it. I know Digital Foundry and stuff are saying, oh, play it in the visual mode, it's truly a breathtaking showcase, right. But because there's so much combat and so much action, just the more frame rate just makes it feel better to play, and I'd rather have that than visuals.
Do you know what as well, Liam? I think we're both on OLED TVs, and I think because I think that 60 on an OLED, especially the type that we've got very similar tellies, that you're like, fucking hell,
this one right here.
Yeah, that's it. And then you're
Liam has put it into his television for the audio listeners, which is right behind him.
It is right behind me.
Tape. So and it's good. It's fucking really good. And then when you take the step down to 30, obviously the OLED loses. It isn't as good, and I don't think that the change would be as drastic if you were just playing it on like a fucking on a gaming monitor or something. I think the change would be less. Like, I don't know what it is. Because if you go from a 60 to a 30 in a game, which you can do obviously dead quick now on loads of PlayStation games, you can just choose performance or quality. If you've played performance for anything more than 10 minutes and then you go choose quality, it just feels horrific. And
it does.
I feel like maybe it is a TV thing as well. Like maybe that is a factor. Like you get so used to like the high refresh rate like thing of the telly with really really low input lag and stuff. That then, when you're playing it in 30, it just feels extra stodgy. So I definitely get it.
Yeah,
that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem because they're going to want to push the games to look better, aren't they? As the generation goes forward, they're going to be like under pressure to like crank the quality mode as much as they can.
I mean, as long as they keep giving me the option to, I don't mind. Whatever Naughty Dog's next game is, of course they're going to do everything they can to make it like photorealistic looking, but just give me the option. That's all I ask for. Because obviously, some people they want to have, they'll put Horizon on a TV in Curry's to show off a PS5, but then just give me the choice.
There's certain games, Ratchet and Clank had the performance ray tracing modes, didn't they?
Yeah, that's one I used.
Miles. Yeah, exactly. That is by miles the best option because it looks really good and it plays really, really good, and it doesn't. And then it makes the quality mode feel a bit redundant because the increase in the resolution, it isn't fucking worth it. A lot of the time, especially in a game like Ratchet and Clank, where you can to play it in 60 FPS is amazing. So to lose that just so that the resolution is slightly higher and stuff is way off. Cyberpunk is one game I played a bit since they patched it, and they made the next gen update. But the quality
that's quite recent, isn't it? Only 2 weeks ago.
Yes, yeah. But the quality mode in that is bad. it's really bad because it's like a ray tracing mode essentially, or a performance mode, and then you take a massive hit to frame rate, and you get like softer shadows or something in return, which is just like, well, that's not even a fucking choice. Like, why is that even there? It's such a bad option. So sometimes it's like it's just the option is sort of pointless. If anybody's playing Cyberpunk 2077 in quality mode or whatever it's called, and not the frame rate mode, you're fucking doing it wrong, man. So
that was Horizon Forbidden West.
that was Elden Ring. That was the Elden Ring.
Well, I was about to say, like, I had it on and I turned it off because imagine, you know, what you've played of Elden Ring, Mike. Imagine that, and then it just, you know, you don't have the option to play it anymore, and then it says, "Okay, see you in a couple of months," but you remember it a bit, and then. Yeah, that's what happened to me. I played what you played of Elden Ring, and then it was just like, okay, see you soon. And then I'm playing this to try and pass the time, and it's just everything I hate in an open world game. Aloy is the most annoying narrator. Can I just say this is the sole reason I've uninstalled it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. Like
she's become the new Nathan Drake, I reckon, in the ladder, eh? Nice.
It's really bad at the beginning because it's the tutorial, isn't it? So it's properly like, we better hide in the grass. Poof, we did it.
Yeah.
They didn't see us. We better throw a stone. And it's just like, but I don't like how, like, you know, there's an enemy at the beginning who like spews acid. Like that's its thing, spews acid. Then you see it spewing some acid. Then you walk into like an encampment full of people who have been killed by acid. And then she's like, oh, I think that creature might have been through here. And then her annoying sidekick guy's like, looks like it has. It's like, yes, I know. FromSoft wouldn't do this. So I just, So I got so embittered about it. I was just like, right, get me out of here. Yeah. I played 2 hours. I saw the title card, and I thought, this is what it's going to be, huh? So it's off for now.
So you thought very much like you responded to it very much like Aloy would respond to it. Like having an inner monologue.
Yeah. Huh. Guess that's it, huh? Yeah. See you soon. Yeah. So I got rid of it and then complained to you two about it, and now it's out. Yeah. So
if anything, it just gets worse the more the game goes on, because it keeps because it's, you know, it's a big sequel. It's introducing new things to you all the time, new enemies, new weapons, new characters, and it is just non-stop chatter. And that is probably my biggest complaint about Forbidden West. There's so much unnecessary dialogue. You'll have open a conversation wheel with an NPC, and they'll have like 5-10 options on it, and they all just like are basically repeating the same thing until you choose the right one that's necessary to advance like the quest line or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like there's so much redundant dialogue. It's like, I get that the writers were probably having a great time, but this 10-minute conversation could have been done in 30 seconds. And there's just like no need for half this dialogue. It's
actually so off-putting, and it made me think back to like Mass Effect, the collection recently, where it's a lot of spacey talk, exposition, and it's like you need to understand why these lot hate these lot and why actually they're. But if Shepard was constantly going, that's some pretty cool biotech, or like, those Krogans really can fight. It would do my head in.
Let's go through.
Yeah, it's really, really, really difficult to sit through. I got to the point where I was getting unnecessarily annoyed about it, and I was doing it. I was like, we climbed up some rocks, and my wife sat on on fucking Wordle next to me or whatever she's doing. and then I'm like going, and then I'm like, better climb up those rocks. And Aloy was, and I got it right at one point, and she's like, all right, because I was like, yeah.
It's but at least now that it's reached the point of like, you know, caricature, that it, like maybe they would like take a step off the thing, or you know, there's going to be something else. There'll be some of the advancement that, you know.
I mean, it sounds really horrible, volatile of me to say, but I was playing it just before the review embargo, and I was like, if nobody mentions this is I'm going to be like, just like, oh, fucking hell. But luckily, there was quite a fair few people that were on about how unnecessary it is. So I was like, oh, thank God. But because that's actually one of the critiques about it, it even knocked its score down a bit on Metacritic, And this is like a 1 or 2 point deduction on Metacritic is a really big deal for these first party studios. I reckon it will be an internal discussion about it, and I hope it does kickstart a change, like what you're saying, because it's, you think back to like the classic flipping Fallout New Vegas thing about the Metacritic score. Like Metacritic score, for those who aren't that aware, who are listening, it does have a bit more of it is important. Like, in my day job, I work in games PR, so we work on launching games and that, and that's the first port of call every time. What's the Metacritic score for, like, what, and I know if you ever want to speak to somebody and about launching a game, they want to know what you think it'll be on Metacritic. Metacritic is still the big thing. So, like, for that to be, because like that did quite well though. It got good reviews. So did the Warhammer, and then you've got Elden Ring. So I think this is one of those. And Dying Light. I think it's one of these months where you look back in a year and you'll go, February 2022 was a damn good month for video games. But
which makes the Cyberpunk sort of update all the more like head scratching. I guess you'd say, why now? Well, they finished it, so there you go. The update's ready, so you can play it. But the timing of the Cyberpunk update was a bit weird. But
I think
that's another game where the dialogue is like, oh my god, it's just, and obviously because it is this near. Well, it's not near future, but it's like, sci-fi future, extreme, edgy, like, setting. The dialogue is unbelievable. Like, it's just really atrocious.
Yeah, it is very. It kills the immersion to me quite a lot.
Yeah, and because you think, okay, I understand the thing of, like, predicting how people will speak in the future, which is difficult, but it's so hard to make that not just seem like edgy, like appealing to, like, teenage boys, sort of. Like, it's horrible. Like, if anybody speaks like that in the year 2077, I don't know. Like, it's just,
you're going to go and live in the woods.
Yeah, I'm out. I will be out. But it ain't that ain't happening. Do you know what I mean? That ain't happening. People are not going to be speaking like that.
Yeah,
it's 2077.
It is a bit weird, like, but in the nicest way possible. Now that they've done this, hopefully that means that it can get cracking with The Witcher, isn't it? Give people the game that they want to play.
To be honest, yeah, that's I can't wait to play the PS5 version of that.
Yeah, I don't think they're even doing the PS. I think it's the people who did the Switch version are doing the next gen upgrade.
Is it? Oh, that's but
that's a good thing, because they're as a technical studio, they're really good at it. They got it working on the Switch.
They switched it down to the Switch,
and it already looks good on the PS4. Like, I remember distinctly just before shifting to the PS5, having a quick spin on The Witcher on the PS4, and thinking, "Fucking hell, this actually looks really good."
Yeah,
it looks really.
It does hold up.
Exactly the same. Yeah, honestly, there were incremental changes, weren't there?
Yeah,
because it's a weird thing to keep track of, isn't it? Because I remember the controls are different now. By the default controls are different now, and you have to, like, go into the menu to get the old controls back. So it's weird how, like, you've got these little tiny changes happening over time. So when you do revisit a game these days, you aren't revisiting the version that you did play and love. You're playing a better version ultimately. So yeah, I am interested.
I can't wait for it's like in the design of the world and that. Like, I've been going on about that for years. Like, but they're just the fucking bending trees and shit. Like, a video game tree is like a cartoon of a tree in it. It's like a Skyrim tree is a video game tree in it.
Yeah.
But the trees in this, there's like fucking, they're all like swishing, they're all bending this way because it's windy, isn't it? That's what real trees are like.
I reckon that Elden Ring's launch has put it up there. When you talk about open world games, you're talking about Skyrim, you're talking about The Witcher 3, you're talking about Breath of the Wild, and now you're talking about Elden Ring. Like, you're playing the fourth in the Holy Trinity. That's what you're playing, right? But the game that I keep thinking of when I'm playing Elden Ring is you guys mentioned Breath of the Wild, but I'm thinking this is a bit like in The Witcher. Like these little stories, and that's what I keep finding myself thinking. And but it's funny that it's got such a weird effect, The Witcher, that I'm playing Elden Ring, I'm loving it, but I'm thinking, looking forward to The Witcher. Like, that's a really, really, that's power, that is, because I've never, ever, ever, ever watched a sci-fi film and gone, I want to play Cyberpunk. and I don't think I ever will. I can say that with hand on heart. You know, I'm not gonna. If I watch Blade Runner again, I'm not gonna go give me Keanu Reeves. Yeah. You know what I mean? With a gun.
Certainly not. But yeah, I mean, there's. Should we just quickly mention the games that are coming out this week?
Yeah, sure.
There's Gran Turismo 7 is coming out on Friday, which is the 4th of March. Fuck me, the 4th of March. So, Gran Turismo 7 on PS4 and PS5, which I might get.
I might get this too.
Yeah, you two are into a bit of this, aren't you? Cars and that.
Bit of the old racing, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a bit like, well, it's not a bit. It is a sort of simulation, you know, an accessible one, but it is like gone down the simulation route of racers, isn't it? It's not a Burnout type game where you've got a boost bar that's made out of flames.
It's more Forza Motorsport. Well, it's been going longer than Forza Motorsport.
It's a big series, and it's a big PlayStation brand, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is. That's the thing, and I think that it's like, you know, Forza on, you know, your Xbox is like the one, and this is the closest to an equivalent there is, isn't there? Really?
Yeah.
But it does hold weight. The thing, like, it has nothing for anyone that's into like casual stuff. Whereas Forza Horizon, I don't really care about any of this stuff. Don't know the difference between a Bugatti and an Alfa Romeo or whatever it is, but like, I was on a Steam page earlier for this very serious sim, by the way, in case you're wondering where that came from. And it was going on about we finally got the laser scanned new Alfa Romeo It's, I don't know, but anyway. So I quite enjoyed a bit of Forza. So there was something there I could have enjoyed. With this, I don't think there is, because unless I'm into the laser scanned track, or I'm into like the asphalt, I don't know what there is.
There's like a element to it where, you know, a pure visual appeal thing as well, because the console's new and you know it's going to fucking look good and it's going to sound good and stuff. So there's like a tech demo sort of appeal.
Yeah, you know, this is the first thing you always see with a new console generation. You see a flipping hood of a car covered in raindrops, and a cheering crowd. Like, in fact, I think I remember in the PS5 reveal, this was one of the very first things we saw. Yeah, you saw a rear view mirror. And you heard an engine rev, and now we're here, innit? So
I'm sure it would have been. So that's out, and then Triangle Strategy, the Nintendo Switch tactical Japanese role playing game.
Well, I'm a little bit confused about this, because you know they had that like Project Town, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever.
That was
right?
That was made by Game Freak, the Pokemon people.
Right.
Completely unrelated.
Did it end up coming out? Sorry.
Project Town. Yeah, it came out. It's called Little Town Hero in the end, and it got like absolutely slammed in reviews.
Well,
like,
this is my point. Yeah, like Project Triangle Strategy, I thought was the code name, but they've just called it Triangle Strategy.
Yeah,
so I thought they're not going to call the game Triangle Strategy. Surely not. It's rock paper scissors.
They did an Octopath Traveler with it, where it was Project Octopath Traveler, and they're like, "We're proud to announce the title." Octopath Traveler. So you just took Project away. That's all they did.
Yeah.
Should we change the name to Project Special Moves, and then?
That's what I mean. Yeah, we've got a new project. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my god. So well, this is made by one of the people who did Octopath, isn't it? And the other one, Brave Default.
Yeah, same people. I'm pretty sure it's meant to. They're trying to like bill it as like a successor to Final Fantasy Tactics from way back in the day. They're going for that crowd with their HD 2D or whatever they call it art style.
You guys like tactics and Japanese things, so any interest or what? No.
Probably not for me. Maybe just because I've got too many games going at the minute and not enough time.
It's up to me then, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'll do it.
That's the thing. Like, it's like I've been getting pulled around as well, where I don't have that much gaming time, and then when I do, I get massive fucking, choice paralysis, and I can't pick if I want to play Homeworld or Evil Within or Elden Ring or Destiny or Cyberpunk or whatever. Like, I've got all these fucking Total War.
Yeah,
you mentioned Total War in that. That's like 6 games that I would play right now.
I'm looking at this. I know what you mean. Like, the thing for me is, I got this Pokemon Legends of Arceus, whatever it's called. I haven't even But the thing is, I feel good about that, though. This is the thing, right? I've offset that sort of spending guilt because my daughter's playing it. So I'm like, I bought it for her suddenly in my head, right? Elden Ring, good. This triangle strategy looks gorgeous, by the way. It looks like a pop-up book. It looks beautiful. And it's got that like just, vignette blur, which is doing it wonders because it gives it its proper, it really pops. And last time there was a Japanese tactical game, which is basically your interests combined, and you didn't go for it. I took the fall and bought Fire Emblem, and it was one of my favorite games. So I'm feeling lucky. My only concern is, this is such a first world problem, yeah? Right? Liam has got an exciting thing on the way, right? The Steam Deck.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm next in line. So maybe I'll have a Steam Deck next month, in which case, what's the point in spending any money on the Switch? I'm already there, I'm already that much of a traitor to the Switch that as soon as the Steam Deck's out, I'm like 40 quid on a new game for the Switch. That's at least 11 games on the Steam Deck. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I could buy...
Well, the beautiful thing about that, if you get a Steam Deck, though, is that you already have like 400 Steam games, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the...
my Steam Deck library is so whack. Everybody has a bigger Steam Deck than me. Everyone's collection is going to be way bigger, right? I don't have many Steam games. I'm going to tell you right now how many I've got. It's actually quite shocking, I've got 264 games on Steam, and I've had...
How many games do you want?
I've had a Steam account for 12 years.
That's two.
But I know people that are whipping out the thousands, man. I bet, I bet you every Special Moves listener's got a bigger Steam library than me,
No, I haven't got more. You've got more than me. I've got 249 I've got. I've hidden a lot of mine because they're just doing my nothing. But
yeah, how many of mine are just like I bought them for £1 off Humble Bundle 11 years ago, innit?
Yeah,
I think it counts every single chapter of Sam and Max Telltale as a separate game. Do you know what I mean?
So I bought Company of Heroes, and then I've got about 16 different Company of Heroes.
Oh yeah.
So I hid all of them. Do you know what I mean?
But not Company of Heroes free.
I haven't played it. No, there's a demo, isn't there? But
yeah, it's like alpha.
Yeah,
right. So Project Triangle Strategy.
Yeah, except it's not called Project. It's called Triangle Strategy. There's a couple of other ones. There's Babylon's Fall out on the 3rd, which is Thursday. That's PC, PS4, PS5.
And that's a Square Enix.
Yeah. And it hurts my soul that it looks so bad. That it's a Platinum game published by Square Enix, and it looks dreadful.
And
there's a demo for on Steam.
There's a demo for it out right now, and people have said, "Yep, it's pretty dreadful."
I'm gonna bang through a few others as well. So, Shadow Warrior 3 is out on Tuesday, I think.
I might get this. I like the Shadow Warrior games.
This is PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Far Changing Tides is out on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One.
Oh, that's the new with the Far Lone Sales game that everyone ends up liking.
Never played that, but looks cool. But I couldn't figure out what it was. Like I don't understand what the gameplay is in it. Do you know what I mean?
A puzzle adventure game.
I think you just move from left to right, contemplating life while nice music plays
in a big wagon, yeah. And you're like,
I think in this one you're you're a big boat because it's changing. Yeah. But the reviews are stellar for it, and the art style's good. It's one of them games where it's actually like, it's lots of games are trying to be this type of game. Lots of games are trying to be Limbo, aren't they? Basically. Yeah. But this is the real deal. So it's like getting like good reviews. So, and it's like 16 quid rather than 60 quid for Babylon's Fall. So worth a go in it, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Elex, or how do you say?
It is Elex. Yeah.
Elex 2 is out on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X. On the 1st also, which is Tuesday.
Some vintage Eurojank.
Yeah. Never played.
Great for any of the Germans listening. You guys will fucking love this. This was like, so I'm doing the PR for this, and it's like, I'm like, right, who cares about Elex? And it's like, how like Fable is very like British, but it managed to be universal. Imagine if Fable wasn't universal and it was only enjoyed in like Birmingham. That's kind of what Elex is like, but with Eastern Europe. Loads of people love it.
Yeah.
If you live there and they get it, but it's confusing mix of like, it's post-apocalyptic fantasy looking stuff because it's like dystopian, You know what I mean? There's like bandit camps and that, but also sci-fi and there's a jetpack for some reason. So very, very what? The first one I think was like just absolutely like came out, flopped about for a little bit, 60% on Metacritic. But this one is like the embargo lifts like whatever tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
So that was that. That was the podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Enjoy some Elden Ring, or don't. Let us know what you're up to. You can email us about Elden Ring if you want. dearspecialmusic@gmail.com. Have a really nice rest of your week. Stay safe. Goodbye.